Welcome back. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death for both men and women in the U.S., and knowing family history could help to prevent it. Genomics has helped doctors identify heart conditions and treat them more effectively for patients like Lynn Hunter. Andrea Rohn has Lynn's story.
Come outside and play. Here we go. Oh, you're such a good boy.
Keeping up with a precocious puppy, like keeping up with any baby, takes stamina. But Lynn Hunter had almost no stamina after her third child was born.
Come on, let's go for a walk. The doctors at the hospital handed my newborn baby and my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old to my husband. Said, meet her at the other hospital. She's in heart failure.
The doctor said it was postpartum cardiomyopathy, a temporary heart failure after surgery. Usually, patients bounce back, but Lynn didn't.
I was not able to breathe. I was not able to walk, completely shutting down.
Lynn had an atrial septal defect, a hole in her heart. ASD, a common congenital defect in children and adults, is relatively easy to correct. But the procedure never happened. Tests showed the real problem was hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
And that's related to a mutation in one of 10 different types of genes. And it's the #1 cause of sudden death in people under the age of 30.
Dr. Christopher O'Connor is the CEO and Executive Director of Inova's Heart and Vascular Institute.
Our understanding of genomics in cardiology is really starting to explode, using genomics to predict disease progression and to target therapies.
Lynn was 31 when she experienced heart failure, but she had actual symptoms almost her entire life. She just didn't know it.
One of the things with HCM is when you're young, you are often misdiagnosed as having exercise-induced asthma, which is what I was diagnosed with as a kid. And then as I was a teenager, I started having kind of blackouts.
Understanding the devastating consequences for her own family if HCM goes undiagnosed and untreated, Lynn sought answers from a genetics counselor.
So I needed to know going forward for the future generations where this is from, who has it.
Lynn had the gene mutation and was treated for nearly a decade with beta blockers. Then she had end-stage congestive heart failure while an active duty airman stationed in Italy.
And I was in bed for 8 months, and the Italian doctors basically said, you need to, this is your fate. You need to go home and deal with it.
The Air Force sent Lynn back home to get fixed. She met with cardiologists at Inova and soon was on the transplant list. 2 months later, she received a new heart.
I had a whole lifetime of no care, and I probably wouldn't, I can't say definitively, but I probably wouldn't have come to the transplant period had I had the right kind of care.
Now, thanks to genomics, should HCM be diagnosed, Lynn and her family are more confident they'll get the right kind of care.
This is really important in cardiology today because, as you know, cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in modern civilization.
Come on, Gimli. It's a horrible disease. If you can get treatment early and it's managed throughout your life, you have a great chance of living a long, normal, healthy life.
Doctors and researchers at Inova's Heart and Vascular Institute are taking a close look at the genetics and the proteins in heart patients' blood. The hope is to better understand common conditions like heart attacks and heart failure and the best drug therapies to treat and prevent them. Well, coming up next, we will check in on a little boy who has defied the odds thanks to genomics and its power to predict. Stay with us.
Genomics, the power to predict, is sponsored by Inova. Join the future of health.